The task of the leader is to get his people from where they are to where they have not been. There cannot be a crisis next week. My schedule is already full. Art is man's expression of his joy in labor. Power is the great aphrodisiac. If you don't know where you are going, every road will get you nowhere. Whatever must happen ultimately should happen immediately. The conventional army loses if it does not win. The guerrilla wins if he does not lose. Accept everything about yourself, I mean everything. You are you, and that is the beginning and the end. No apologies, no regrets. 90% of the politicians give the other 10% a bad reputation. University politics are vicious precisely because the stakes are so small. Each success only buys an admission ticket to a more difficult problem. The absence of alternatives clears the mind marvelously. A leader does not deserve the name unless he is willing occasionally to stand alone. The illegal we do immediately. The unconstitutional takes a little longer. Even a paranoid can have enemies. Diplomacy, the art of restraining power. You can't make war in the Middle East without Egypt, and you can't make peace without Syria. While we should never give up our principles, we must also realize that we cannot maintain our principles unless we survive. No one will ever win the battle of the sexes. There's too much fraternizing with the enemy. It was a Greek tragedy. Nixon was fulfilling his own nature. Once it started, it could not end otherwise. There is obviously a gap between the public's perception of the role of US foreign policy and the elite's perception. To be absolutely certain about something, one must know everything or nothing about it. The nice thing about being a celebrity is that, if you bore people, they think it's their fault. America has fought 5 wars since 1945 and has gained its objectives in only one of them, the Gulf War. No foreign policy, no matter how ingenious, has any chance of success if it is born in the minds of a few and carried in the hearts of none. If it's going to come out eventually, better have it come out immediately. Blessed are the people whose leaders can look destiny in the eye without flinching, but also without attempting to play God. It is, after all, the responsibility of the expert to operate the familiar and that of the leader to transcend it. We are all the president's men. Moderation is a virtue only in those who are thought to have an alternative. I am being frank about myself in this book. I tell of my first mistake on page 850. Leaders are responsible not for running public opinion polls but for the consequences of their actions. If I should ever be captured, I want no negotiation, and if I should request a negotiation from captivity, they should consider that a sign of duress. For other nations, utopia is a blessed past never to be recovered. For Americans it is just beyond the horizon. I have been a professor, and I have been a policy maker, and as a professor, you think in terms of truth or absolutes. The essence of Richard Nixon is loneliness. If 80% of your sales come from 20% of all of your items, just carry those 20%. The Trump phenomenon is in large part a reaction of Middle America to attacks on its values by intellectual and academic communities. There are other reasons, but this is a significant one. The American foreign policy trauma of the 60s and 70s was caused by applying valid principles to unsuitable conditions. The statesman's duty is to bridge the gap between his nation's experience and his vision. Donald Trump is a phenomenon that foreign countries haven't seen. So it is a shocking experience to them that he came into office. People are generally amazed that I would take an interest in any forum that would require me to stop talking for 3 hours.